I'm gonna go through all the reasons why I think the ASX kind of sucks. As always, this video is for informational purposes only. This video is not financial advice. Let's jump into it. The ASX is an extremely small portion of the overall global market. We comprise only 2% of the global stock market, so we are an extremely small fish in an extremely large pond. Yes, we have our top companies like the CBAs and the BHPs, all extremely massive companies in their own right, but compared to some of the mega tech companies out there in the US like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, they do not compare at all. So if you do decide to invest only in the ASX, you're excluding yourself from 98% of what's out there and you're only getting exposure to 2%, which is Australia. Now, just because our market is small, it doesn't mean that it is inherently bad. There are good opportunities in every market. But if you compare our market to the US market, for example, you'll find that their market has performed significantly well if you compare it to different time frames, especially if you look at it in terms of the growth. This is because they have a homegrown culture of technology and innovation, and if you compare it side by side, which we'll dive into later on in the video, you'll find that we have been severely lagging behind for decades. And the thing is, if you only had your portfolio in companies that are listed on the ASX because you find that it's a lot more safer and it has familiar names, then you would have missed out on a massive chunk of return. So when you analyze the ASX, you'll quickly realize that there are only two sectors that dominate our market, which are financials and materials. Financials being the big banks and materials being the mining companies. These two industries roughly make up 60% of our market, which means that we are heavily concentrated towards just two sectors, which means that our performance is heavily tied to two things: the housing market, because mortgages make up a significant chunk of bank revenues, and our natural resources on the material side, because we love to export those out to other countries. And if you take a step back and look around you and see what people are doing, see what they're thinking, see what their goals and ambitions are and what they're talking about, this will come as no surprise. We as Australians have an unhealthy obsession with the property market. It's true. Either we're trying to buy our first one or our next one, and that's just how it goes. I have personally spoken to hundreds and hundreds of Australians over the course of my career so far, and I can safely say that every sector of society, every class of society, people are looking to get into the property market. Whether you're in the lower or working class, your goal is to buy your first property or maybe buy your first investment, or whether you're part of the top 1%, you're trying to always expand your portfolio, and we have this unhealthy obsession that we just want to keep on buying property. So when everybody wants to buy into the same asset class compared to shares comparatively, it is no surprise we are where we are. And on the mining side and the commodity side, it is great that as a nation we have all these natural resources. They have contributed to our economy greatly. It is one of the reasons why we are called the lucky country, because we have these resources. The performance of our stock market is heavily tied to property cycles and commodity prices, not innovation or technology, and that is precisely the problem. You can make a very good argument that banking and mining companies, these are mature businesses. They are not the ones that are the most innovative compared to what else is out there. Therefore, our growth on the upside is going to be limited. When you look into typical investing advice, one of the biggest pieces of advice is to diversify your portfolio, because then you get to spread out the risk. If one company goes down, your entire portfolio won't be going down. But if you were to buy an ASX 200 or an ASX 300 ETF, thinking that your portfolio is diversified, but your money is going into 60% into two sectors, is your portfolio really that diversified? It's a question that's worth asking, because a very large portion of what's going to drive your returns are just going to be these two industries. I'm not telling you what to do, I just want you to reconsider your position when it comes to diversification. The other problem with the ASX is that our market is extremely income focused, where dividends and franking credits are king. In fact, we have one of the highest dividend yields in the entire world, and this is great news for pensioners and retirees, because they can supplement their income with this additional income from the stock market. So that's all well and good. However, for the rest of us, you can make an argument that because we're working, we have full-time jobs, we don't really need the extra income coming through from these dividends that the ASX 200 ETFs pay out, because we have full-time jobs. At max, because we have a small portfolio when we're starting out, the dividends that we receive are going to be $200, $300, and we don't really need the extra income. It's a nice to have, but we have our full-time jobs for that. Instead, because we have a couple decades of working life ahead of us, What could help us more is if our economy and our investments grew a lot more, as opposed to getting income. Because at the end of the day, we're trying to work towards our retirement and hopefully retire early, so we don't really need the income right now. We need our portfolio and our asset base to grow as much as possible. And if you think about it, growth in a theoretical sense when it comes to companies growing is theoretically unlimited. A company can keep on growing into a massive amount. Of course, there'll be a cap at the end, but if you think about it theoretically, if a company keeps on innovating and they keep on bringing out new products, they can keep on increasing their share price as long as the market can validate that. But when it comes to giving out dividends and paying out dividends and franking credits to their shareholders, a company is limited on the income front. It can only make so much money and it can only give out so much money to its shareholders before it has to keep some money and invest it for future innovations. Therefore, income is limited, whereas growth is theoretically unlimited. So if a business is strong, it has good fundamentals, low debt, strong balance sheet, it's got good innovation prospects, it's got a large market, it can keep on growing. But if you compare it to businesses on the ASX, specifically financials and materials businesses, these are mature businesses, as I've said earlier, and they can't keep growing at that level at which the tech companies can. And you don't have to take my word for it. You can compare the returns of the ASX 200 versus the S&P 500. So if you compare the last 40 years of returns from the ASX to the S&P, you will find that the ASX grew by 476%, whereas the S&P grew by 2,900%, which is absolutely insane. This means that you would have 30 times your initial investment if you invested in the S&P compared to the ASX. Now, if you bring the time frame back and you halve the time frame, let's say you look at it from a 20-year perspective, so the last 2 decades of returns, the S&P 500 returned 434% versus the ASX 200 that only returned 83%, so you would have barely doubled your money. So this is what I mean by growth being theoretically unlimited, whereas income being capped. Now, those returns that I talked about does not include income returns, which the ASX is known for giving out quite a lot. So the total return of the ASX would be a lot higher than 83%. It would potentially be double that amount because the ASX pays a boatload of dividends, but still it cannot compare to the growth that the S&P has provided. So this comparison is solely based on growth returns, and from that perspective, we are severely lacking behind. My last and final reason is home country bias. This is quite possibly the biggest reason why people choose to invest in the ASX compared to anything else, because they just feel a lot safer. The ASX has familiar names: Coles, Woolies, Big Four banks, BHP, all these companies, Telstra, all these companies that we have grown up with and we are familiar with. We bank with them, we have our phone plans with them, we have a relationship with them on every single level. Therefore, we just somehow prefer to invest in the market that we know. Not to mention that we inherently find it easier to invest in these companies because we can open up a brokerage account with any bank and just easily invest into these companies using Aussie dollars. We don't need to do any conversion, it's very easy. But this is a bias that we need to think about as investors. If you're watching this video, most likely you live in Australia, you earn Australian dollars, you spend Australian dollars, you pay taxes in Australian dollars, you might even own property in Australia, so everything in your life is tied to this country. You have extreme exposure to Australia. So when you take your hard-earned money and you invest it in the Australian market, you're creating even more exposure in the Australian ecosystem. And this is something that you need to be aware of. It is all good if part of your investment thesis is that Australia is a country or an economy that is going to outperform other nations. You might have an elaborate thesis where you've done the research and you think that Australia is going to turn into the next technology or innovation superpower, and we're going to use our natural resources and we're going to do something innovative and shift our economy and we're going to outperform the US, say for example. You might have that investment thesis and that is completely fine. All I'm trying to say is that think about how you're investing your money and put knowledge and thought and thesis behind why you make the choices that you do. Or your decision to invest in the ASX might simply be you just love the fact that the ASX pays out a good level of dividends and franking credits, and you just love that extra income coming through during the months, and that's completely fine too. As long as the decision you're making is an educated decision and not something based in bias, There is nothing wrong with that. Now look guys, I didn't make this video to completely crap on the ASX and to tell you to never invest in this market. I love this country, Australia is great, but we do need to recognize the issues and challenges that our market has. I think our market definitely has a place in a well-balanced, diversified portfolio, but I don't necessarily agree and I'm not necessarily convinced that we need to dump everything into this market. To me, it just doesn't make any sense. My goal was to simply highlight the structural limitations of the ASX because when I look at finance content, I don't see this mentioned very often. Everybody talks about investing in ETFs and trying to be more diversified, but I think we need to be going one step further and looking into what our market and what the rest of the markets out there have to offer. To be completely fair, you could make a similar video like this about the S&P 500 and you could critique that market and talk about how those guys are heavily concentrated in the tech market, and when the tech market goes down, their market goes down. So you can make a similar argument and talk about limitations of the US market. You can do the same thing about the European market, the Chinese market. Anything is fair game, it's fair critique. My goal is to really make you guys think about what you're buying and make sure that you understand what you're doing. Hope you guys found some value in this video. Subscribe if you did, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye now.